like the waves. Oh, sing it loud, yo, Captain Lyric Sky.
Hey y'all, Rick Sky here. Welcome back to another dehumidifier video. And thank y'all for the great questions. Keep the questions coming, and I'll try to post video responses to your question or questions. But within this video, I want to answer a question from several people, and it was why, I've got the optional drain hose attached to my dehumidifier. Why does my dehumidifier's bucket continue to fill up even though I've got the optional hose attached? Because this dehumidifier, by the way, this is a smart dehumidifier, and you can expand this video's description and click the link there to find where to order it online. But this particular dehumidifier, like several dehumidifiers on the market, it has an option to use a drain hose instead of the bucket. It's got a bucket in the front, and it's got a place in the back where you can optionally attach a drain hose. But if you've attached a drain hose and the bucket is still filling up, what could be causing that? Obviously, if you're using a drain hose, you don't want to have to come and continuously, well, not continuously, but, well, yeah, it would be continuously, every day or every half day or so, dump a bucket. That's the reason for the hose, because, well, the hose drains out continuously without the need to dump the bucket. So why might your dehumidifier's bucket be filling up even though you've got the hose attached? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get my close-up camera here. I'm going to fire this up, and I'm going to show you in very good detail here what's probably happening. So looking at your dehumidifier, obviously on the front, you've got your bucket, which would be right here. You don't want to use the bucket, you want to use the drain hose. Now this dehumidifier came with this style hose. It's kind of clear, but I optionally attached a garden style hose. Now notice how I've got that running. Now my basement does have a built-in drain. You may or may not. But notice that the hose is going down. If the hose is up from where it goes in, it's not going to work because it uses gravity to make the water flow out the hose. That's how that's working. So you need to make sure that your hose is going down. You also need to make sure that, especially if you're using a drain like I am, that the hose is not making contact with something that inside of the drain that would be preventing the hose from draining continuously. Also, if you're using a hose to go into, say, a bucket, you need to make sure the bucket's not full. Because you know what happens when a bucket becomes full? Well, if a hose is draining into a full bucket, it's going to stop draining because there's no space for that water to flow into. And then what will happen would be the same as if you had your hose up or if you had a full bucket. Once that hose is filled with fluid, with water from the dehumidifier, then that water is going to start to go back into the dehumidifier, which then in turn starts to fill the dehumidifier's built-in bucket. So just to recap, and unless you're really fancy and you want to try to buy a gravity reducer, good luck finding a gravity reducer. You'd have to do your own Project Blue Book or contact your own alien agency. You'd have to do something to do that if you wanted to eliminate gravity. So due to the fact that most, including this dehumidifier, use gravity to enable the water to flow, just to recap, make sure the hose on the back of the dehumidifier, if it goes up, it's not going to work. On the back of the dehumidifier, the hose has to go down. Also, as I mentioned, if your hose is running into a drain, say in your basement, make sure when that hose runs into the drain that it's not making contact with a wall inside of the drain, or make sure that drain is not full of water, because if it is, it's not going to work and it's going to start to back up into your dehumidifier's bucket, thus prompting the need to dump the dehumidifier's bucket, and that's not what you want. That's why you installed a drain hose, because you want it to drain out. And if your drain hose is draining into a bucket, keep in mind that bucket has to be below the drain. So it's not like you can have a hose running out of the dehumidifier going down and then going up into a bucket. No, no, no. In that case, what you would do is get like a table or something, sit your dehumidifier on the table, and then put the bucket on the ground so that the drain hose can run out of the dehumidifier, run down, and run into the bucket. But keep in mind, if you're using a bucket for your dehumidifier, once that bucket becomes full, you know, that drain is going to, the hose is going to fill, and it's going to start to fill, you know, run back into the dehumidifier and then fill the dehumidifier's bucket. So to really visualize this in very simplistic fashion, when you buy a dehumidifier like this one, and by the way, expand this video's description and you can click the link there to find where to order it online. When you buy a dehumidifier like this one, by default, it's typically set to use the built-in bucket. Well, what's doing that? Well, you'll notice on the back of this dehumidifier, for example, it has a little screw, looks like a thing you'd screw a garden hose to. That's exactly what it is. But out of the box, it probably had a cap on that. And what that cap was doing was preventing water from running out of a hose, because if there's not a hose attached, you don't want it running out. But what that cap does is force the water back inside of the dehumidifier, which then in turn goes into the dehumidifier's bucket. So, you know, if you take away anything from this video, remember, if you're using a hose for your dehumidifier, that hose coming out of the dehumidifier has to go down, because it's gravity that causes water to flow down that hose and out into a drain or out into a bucket or whatever. But, you know, unless you have a gravity reducer, now if you have one of those, I want to hear all about it in the comment section below. But unless you have a gravity reducer, that hose is going to have to flow down. So I hope this video helped. If it did, feel free to send me a super thanks. Not required, but if you choose to do, if you choose to do so, you can click that thanks button down below this video. And if you're shopping for the smart dehumidifier like I use, by the way, I highly recommend this model. You can expand this video's description and click the link there. This one's particularly cool, and subscribe and check out my separate videos, because this dehumidifier is a smart dehumidifier. So if you were using the bucket, you could see in the app when the bucket is full and when it's time to dump it. So that's kind of cool. But, you know, I'm not using a bucket, I'm using the drain hose, and that's how you got to set it up to use the drain hose. So I hope this video helped. Be sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and check out all my other videos too. You got dehumidifier questions, comment down below, and I'll try to post a video response. Y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, iRick Sky here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please be sure to subscribe to my channel, and when you do, ring that bell icon to be notified whenever I post another video. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day.